Picture this. Let's say that you've built a $2 million estate. Maybe you have 2 homes, brokerage accounts, and maybe even a small business. Now imagine passing away without a plan in place. Your family could spend more than a year going through the probate process just to be able to take over the ownership of your assets. They could spend tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees, and all of your information tied to your assets and who those assets are going to can be public information. A revocable trust can prevent all of that from happening. It keeps you in control while you're alive, and then when you pass away, it allows your family to receive those assets quickly and privately without having to go through the probate courts. Let's talk about why families use a revocable living trust. In Georgia, a revocable living trust is a legal document that owns your assets. But while you're alive, you can maintain control over those assets just like you do now. In Georgia, a revocable living trust is a legal document that owns your assets, but you can still maintain full control over those assets while you're alive. You can buy, sell, or invest just like you do now, and you can cancel or change that trust at any time. If you pass away or become incapacitated, your backup trustee will be able to step into your role as trustee and take over the management and distribution of those assets. Putting your assets inside of a revocable trust will allow your family to skip the probate courts, skip the legal fees related to probate attorneys for those assets, and also keep your assets private. So what problem does a revocable trust actually solve? The main problem that the revocable trust will solve is avoiding the probate process. So in Georgia, the probate process is going to take anywhere from 6 to 18 months depending on how complex your estate is. It's also going to cost 3 to 7% of the value of your estate, with the average being roughly $5,000 to $15,000 for the probate attorney fees. And then when your assets are going through the probate courts, it becomes public information, so anyone can look up what assets you have and who those assets are going to. But when you put your assets inside of a revocable trust, it will avoid the probate courts altogether, so your family does not have to wait 6 to 18 months to get the assets inside that trust. They won't have to hire probate attorneys to help distribute those assets that are inside of the trust, and those assets and who they're going to remain private. So let's talk about how the revocable trust actually works. Here's how it all comes together. You are the person setting up that revocable trust, so you are called the grantor. While you're alive, you can be the trustee and have full control over the management and distribution of the assets inside of that revocable trust. You would name a successor trustee and backup successor trustees, and these people will take over the management of the assets inside of that trust in the event that you become incapacitated or you pass away. You will also list out the beneficiaries and how those assets should be distributed out to those beneficiaries. And then when you're done setting up that revocable trust, what you do is transfer your assets in there, whether it's real estate that you're passing into there, investment accounts that you may have, or any business interest. And that will allow all of those assets inside the revocable trust to avoid the probate process when you pass away. If you forget to put the assets inside of the revocable trust, those assets will still be in your personal name and they will have to go through the probate process when you pass away, even if you do have a revocable trust. So you want to make sure that you are actually putting the assets inside the trust. So what are the advantages of setting up the revocable trust in Georgia? The assets that are in the trust will be private, so no one can see what assets you have and who those assets are going down to. It plans for incapacity, so in the event that you become incapacitated, your family will not have to go to the courts to get authority to manage your assets. The successor trustee will be able to immediately step in your role as trustee in the event that you become incapacitated. One revocable trust can hold properties in multiple different states, so if you own vacation properties or rental properties that are out of state, you can allow those properties to avoid the probate process when you pass away as well. And if you set up your deeds correctly, make the correct transfers, then you can maintain your homestead exemptions on the properties inside the revocable trust. So if your family has properties in multiple states or you have large complex estates, avoiding the probate process is going to save you guys a lot of money. So what does a Georgia revocable trust cost? Most families are going to spend $2,000 to $5,000 to set up and fund a revocable trust. Now that may sound like a lot, but let's talk about what the probate process could cost you. So again, let's use the $2 million estate as an example. Now with that $2 million estate, you can spend up to $70,000 in court and attorney fees, and it could take 12 to 18 months for your family to receive the assets when you pass away. Now by contrast, if you set up the revocable trust and it costs you $4,000, it would take only a couple of weeks to set up, and that's going to save your family a lot of time and a lot of headache and money down the road. So let's talk about how to set up your revocable trust step by step. The first one's going to list out all the assets that you have. This will be all the properties that you have in state and out of state. This will be all your financial accounts that you have, like checking, savings, investment, retirement, and insurance policies. You would also include any business interest you have, whether that's rental property, LLCs, or you actually have a family business. Then you would choose the people that you're going to be listing out inside of that trust. So it's going to be your successor trustee who would step in your role when you pass away or become incapacitated, backup trustees who would take over the successor trustee's role if that person is unable or unwilling to serve, and then the beneficiaries, which would be the people that would inherit your assets. Then you can work with us to draft and sign your revocable trust, and then we will guide you through the funding process. We'd set up all the quitclaim deeds to transfer the properties out of your name into the trust. You want to update your designated beneficiaries on all of your investment accounts. You would update your life insurance policies to dump into that trust if you want it to. And then you need to let your mortgage company know that you have actually transferred the property into the revocable trust. It will not trigger the due on sale clause with a revocable trust. But you also need to update your insurance policy to add the revocable trust as the additional insured. The reason being is that if you do not update your insurance policy and you have any claims on the property inside the revocable trust, your insurance company has the right to not pay out any of those claims because you no longer own that property, and that is the agreement that you have with the insurance company. And the agreement that you have with the insurance company is that you will own that property, and now the trust owns that property, which gives them the right to not pay out any claims. The two biggest mistakes that people make is they forget to put assets inside the revocable trust, or they forget to review it and update it as their life progresses. So it's very likely that you are buying and selling assets, and it's very easy for you to forget to put those assets inside the revocable trust. If you forget to put the assets into the revocable trust, they will still be in your name and they will have to go through the probate process when you pass away, so you set up the revocable trust for no reason. Now, there are different estate planning options. We have revocable trust, a will, and a joint tenancy right to survivorship for real estate. So let's talk about the differences between these so you understand what your best options are going to be. A revocable trust allows all of your assets to avoid the probate process. If they're inside of that revocable trust, all of your assets will remain private and who those assets are going to. And the revocable trust can hold anything from real estate to investment accounts to businesses. Another one is going to be a will. So the will keep the assets in your personal name, and any assets in your personal name when you pass away will have to go through the probate process. Any assets going through the probate process will become public information so that everyone can see what those assets are and who they are going to. Your family will have to spend tens of thousands of dollars on probate attorney fees if they need one to guide them through the process. And then joint tenancy rights of survivorship is a way to retitle the property that you own. What it will allow you to do is co-own the property with another individual like your spouse, so that when one of you passes away, your half of the property will automatically avoid the probate courts altogether and be transferred directly down to the surviving spouse, giving them 100% ownership of it. Now again, the biggest mistake that people are going to make is that they will set up the revocable trust. It will not include the clauses that they want to match the goals that they have, and then once that trust is set up, they will forget to put assets inside of that revocable trust, leaving it empty. Now, if you want help setting up the revocable trust to meet your goals and make sure that your family is protected, avoid the probate courts altogether, and save them lots of time and money when you pass away, we can set up the revocable trust for you. And then we will also make sure that we give you an audit of the assets that are supposed to be inside of that revocable trust to make sure that you have everything inside of it when you need it. If you want help setting any of this up, click the link in the bio, fill out the form, and schedule a time to talk to someone on our team.